I'm Marcus Richardson,
And I'm Nathan Hicken.
and we are thinking of doing a side series here in between our cases. We kind of want a chance just to chat with each other about murder-related subjects, and we have an idea of a title for these. Nathan, would you like to say what that is?
Yes, it is a Murder We Didn't Wrote.
It's a pretty great title. The
I think
grammar on point,
Mm-hmm.
the reference also on point.
Just great all around.
So, what specifically we wanted to talk a little bit about today with each other is we recently did a Hunt a Killer box. And a Hunt a Killer was kind enough to send us this. It was one of their premium box packages. So we thought we'd just talk a little bit with each other about what we thought about that.
Yeah. So the box we got was called Camp Calamity. Unsurprisingly, it was a summer camp murder mystery, which I think is great. I clearly enjoy those. So delightful.
It was fun to see what aspects both popped up in your summer camp mystery and this one. You know, just like there are certain things that are very much the vibe of summer camp, like a boat on the lake, that kind of stuff.
A climbing course. The map for this is getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but the map for the murder box was surprisingly similar to the map I made for the summer camp exhibit.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, so for this box, it basically has a bunch of paraphernalia, different papers and crafts and stuff that you might find in a summer camp. And then also there was an online portion where you can kind of look at the summer camp website and also have access to some of the folders of the characters and that kind of thing. So it was non-linear in the sense that you can look at any of these papers in any order. And I think that that's one place where this really succeeded in just the sheer amount of different things that you could look at and how it all really did feel like different artifacts coming from different places.
It was incredible. The amount of ephemeral stuff that they had was so fun to parse through. It was a little overwhelming as well, but a lot of fun. So,
yeah, we probably, how many hours did we take on this?
We did in
4?
2 sessions. Yeah, so 3 to 4 hours probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so yeah, we can maybe touch on what the mystery was without spoilers, of course.
Yeah, you can just set up really quick. So basically, we received a letter from someone named Gemma. We are a private investigator. She reached out to us because after the opening week of Camp Calamity, of Camp Ashburn, a counselor was found dead in the fire pit, burned to death, presumably. So she reached out to us and sent us the counselor's little memento box. The counselor's name was Bradley Brooks, and this box had a whole bunch of paraphernalia from his days at camp, letters, notes, secret messages, things like that. And then in addition to that, Gemma also sent us a folder of camp paraphernalia. So she had notes on people's alibis. She had stuff from a notice board that she gave us. She also gave us access to the camp's computers. So that's how we were able to log in, so to speak, into their computer interface and like interact with the files on there.
Yeah, I appreciated how much of it was kind of like in world, you know, like how it did feel plausible. Besides the computer stuff, you know, that was a little bit more like, why are we able to somehow remotely send these folders that are password protected to us? But, you know, that's just a part of the thing. That's fine. But yeah, that was an excellent summary of the starting point of this thing. So what were your general thoughts?
Well, first of all, I just love the amount of different things that we had to work with. We had the schedule from the camp. We had a bandolier, or no, handkerchief, whatever this is called. Little camp ascot handkerchief thing that people wore.
Mhm.
Letters. We had notes. Just appreciate the amount of things that all felt connected, even though you didn't need all the information that they had to solve the murder. So
yeah, everything that wasn't useful was good world building. And I
Hmm.
think that was kind of key, because even the things that aren't like having just really helpful evidence, it still is like, oh, well, it makes sense that I would see this in an investigation at a camp.
I also appreciate like the level of detail with each character. So there's 6 suspects besides the murdered and the person who reached out to us. And each of them felt decently well built out. So they had a backstory, they had interactions with the other characters, they had their own secrets going on that influenced their actions on the night of the murder. So they felt their motivations felt pretty well built.
Hmm. Without spoilers, how was the ending?
Ooh. So how we solved the murder, we parsed through all the papers and then we parsed through the files on the computer screen or the computer interface. And then we also were interacting with a chat bot who was Gemma, just a little messenger chat. So she asked us certain questions, probably like only 3 or 4 questions that we had to answer, and then she would respond, and that's how we figured out if we were right or not. She didn't. She did a good. I thought they did a good job of like, um, not railroading us too far. So like they would ask for a very specific question, but then we still had to figure out other things as well. We couldn't just go straight to who's the murderer and that's it. Um, but yeah, so basically, at the end of it all, we sent Gemma the name of the murderer, and then we got the denouement in like audio form, which is kind of cool.
Hmm. I think that there were a lot of strengths to this. I think one thing that was less of a strength in my mind was the voice acting. Uh, I'm not sure necessarily if it was the voice acting or the writing, but you and I were kind of talking about there's a certain flippancy to, like, is that the correct form
Yeah,
of that word?
yeah,
Of, like, these suspects that are had their own secrets, had their own sins, and they're all just
yeah,
like palling around at the end, being like, "Oh, well, I'm glad it wasn't us," or not really like that, but it was a very like happy ending for a murder, in some ways.
yeah. And especially like with the consequences of their own secrets that they had been perpetrating, like it didn't feel like that was treated with seriousness, that it should have like affected their dynamic as a group, and then it like didn't. It was like, oh, wait, what? That was still a felony. What are you talking about?
Oh, you and your felonies.
Ha ha
Definitely
ha.
not like experience ruining or anything like that. It was just interesting. It's one of those places where the immersion kind of broke down for me,
Mhm.
because it sort of reminded me, like, oh, that's right, they're characters in a story rather
Yeah.
than people we're learning about.
Yeah.
I think one other bit of, well, actually, two other bits of critiques, I guess. One of them was the chatbot would respond immediately and also send like all of the texts rapidly in succession, way quicker than someone could actually write them. But then also it would auto scroll to the bottom of the chat whenever a new thing was sent. So it just the way it worked, we had to wait for her to stop talking before we could start reading any of it. So
Yeah.
I think that was a little silly. And then also, oh, I forgot what the other thing was. I guess I only had one bit of feedback. Oh,
Oh,
great.
yeah. Yeah. I'd feel I would agree. I think that's probably the most distracting bit. Yeah. I'm trying to think of specific puzzles that or mysteries within the murder that you felt were really well done, really well encapsulated what they were trying to do.
I was a fan of any puzzles that used things that you would expect to see at camp,
Mm.
because as someone who's also kind of made escape room type experiences, I found that the biggest success is when you can do a puzzle that uses something that you would expect to see in that
Mm.
environment. Like if you are in a laboratory, you would expect there to be some sort of interactive like mixing of chemicals or something. For this being a summer camp, you expect to see stuff like the handkerchief or a friendship bracelet, or
Yeah.
like, so I really appreciated the puzzles that it was like, oh, I would find this here, and they really found a way to loop this in to actually have it be important.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I especially like I'm thinking about the friendship bracelet. So there's a friendship bracelet that we find in the box as well, and that has to do with that clues us into one secret as soon as you learn how to decode it and whatnot. It's actually pretty well done, I think. Yeah, for me, I really liked the bulletin board puzzle. So we had like a notice board paper. So we had all the papers that were put on a notice board, but with no notice board. So we had to figure out how the papers were set up on the notice board. And it was like a lot of random scraps of paper that had like lines all over. They had notes written to each other in response. So it felt like a lot all at once to try to figure out what the heck was going on. But then once we were able to put it all together, and then there's a puzzle on the backside that like, has secrets and whatnot. But it was really cool to be like, oh wow, now we know what to do with this, and you just feel super smart by the end, which is kind of cool. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah.
liked how you could learn more about these characters by one kind of doing the more escape roomy puzzle stuff, but then two, you can also like figure out what their handwriting looks like and figure out how they're
Yeah.
interacting with each other. So that was cool. That had kind of both of those aspects.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, Nathan, who would you recommend this type of experience to?
Ooh, I mean, honestly, it's one of the better escape room in a box, mystery in a box puzzles that I've played. So I would recommend it. I would say, ooh, just to, I guess, fans of murder mysteries and escape rooms in general, probably more mystery side than escape room puzzle, because this did have a lot of leaps of logic that you had to make. So more mystery solving rather than solving a puzzle, which I actually really appreciated because leaps of logic made sense and you felt smart making them. So you
Right.
felt pretty confident making the ones that we made. But yeah, I would recommend it for groups as well. I feel like having both of us bounce ideas off each other was like super great because we had lots of moments of, oh, that's it. That means that someone says something and then we're like, oh, that fits right here. This is how everything goes together without saying spoilers.
Yeah, I would agree that this would be best as a group experience. There are certain things out there where it's sort of railroaded, or there are sort of like gates of info where you have to do things one at a time. And this was not that. Also, there was just the sheer volume of stuff there was to work with. I could imagine having like 8-10 people all learning things about this. And what's cool
Yeah.
about something like this is everyone gets a chance to feel smart when someone's like, oh, I'm trying to figure out this, and someone else is like, oh, I know about that. Like I have
Yeah.
a suspicion as to the motive of why that happened because of something else they read. There's so much to keep track of. It gives a lot of people the chance to get their hands on it.
Yeah, I think it encourages collaboration really well because there's just a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, for sure. I would also recommend this to listeners of our podcast.
Yes.
If you enjoy listening to us talk through our convoluted mysteries of murder, then I really think that you guys would enjoy this.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, they gave us some discount codes with no expectation. But you know what? We really enjoyed our time. So I'll drop those in our description below this podcast. If any of you are interested, we really enjoyed our time. And I'm excited to do more things like this with you, Nathan, because I feel like you're the perfect person to dissect this stuff because you got a wide array of experience just in either doing or reading different kinds of murder mysteries.
Yeah, they were gonna say doing murder, and I was like, I don't know about that. But
actually, let's not say that on mic.
No, yeah, I super enjoy these kinds of things, and just seeing how they can compare to each other. There's the different strengths and how they immerse you in the world, and in the case, how they get you to care about what you're doing, which I think is really cool. So
right, yeah, it's cool to see the tropes, the things that pop up. Well, in addition to that murder we didn't wrote, there was actually another murder I wanted to talk about, which sort of already breaks our own rules, but I didn't write it, so it still counts. Nathan, I hear that while you were in London, you made a murder mystery for 37 roles, a murder mystery party where there were 37 different roles.
Yes, I did. So I had some help from one of my friends on the study abroad program, Brooke. But basically, we built out a huge murder mystery dinner party esque experience to just play with our almost all our study abroad group, and it was a blast.
Tell me more. How? It's hard enough to make. I like. We both have the personal experience of like having 4 or 5 moving parts is a lot. So like, how did you do it for? Also, the theme was Disney characters, right?
Fairytale. So
Oh, right.
let me set the scene a little bit, right? Okay, so on the night of April 7th, a menagerie of fairy tale characters came together to celebrate the wedding of Mad Hatter and Briar Rose. But unfortunately, the celebration would turn sinister as secrets, histories, and motivations combine. So, basically, all the guests received invitations the evening prior with their character, their background, and their connections to the wedding, along with some additional information like place of birth, number of pets, which would all come into play later
It
on.
would.
Mhm.
It would.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Sent out the invitations the night before, and then the next day, we kicked off the celebration. It got off to a bit of a rocky start with the guests coming straight from the ring ceremony to the reception, which was at our little flat that we were staying at in London. So, me and my co-author, we were the two organizers. I was the White Rabbit. She was Maid Marian. The wedding reception wasn't fully set up yet, so we had the guests gather and help put up decorations, set out the wedding desserts, a variety of cookies and cakes acquired from the local bakeries, aka the Waitrose and Ben's Cookies, which local grocery store. But thus, so once they arrived, the guests were also given an additional character sheet with blocked off information that had times to open them up at. So we'll come back to this sheet in a moment, because after about like 10 minutes of decorating, mingling, there was a scream from the servery. Someone had just found Mad Hatter's body sprawled out on one of the tables. So Mad Hatter was a non-character. We just had the outline of a body in there.
Did it have a hat in the outline?
It did not. It should have, but it did not. We just had a simple tape outline. And the real fun began. So at that point, certain things were unveiled on people's character cards. So some people had reactions to the murder, and some people had clues that they discovered right away or discovered throughout the evening. And then also, everyone had a secret mission. So we wanted a way to have everyone be invested in their character and in the mystery, even if they weren't the murderer.
Mhm.
So we decided to give everyone a secret goal or a secret mission. So we had 37 different secret missions going on throughout the evening. For example, we had Captain Hook and Pinocchio, who were not at all worried about the murder. They were just worried about stealing something. So there was a hidden artifact hidden away in one of the rooms. They were trying to steal it to figure out where it was hidden, who had it last, etc. There was Prince Charming, who was a loan shark, who was also playing into things. He had gambling addiction and different bets that were going on throughout the evening. So there's a lot of layers. We can go into some of the other characters as well at some point, but don't want to get too distracted from the murder because that is the main thing. So yeah, so once the body is found, the characters are trying to figure out who killed Mad Hatter, why, etc. So he was found stabbed to death in the servery, um, and over the course of the evening, clues were uncovered, backstories were unveiled, and so on.
Okay. So I'm curious for an individual person's experience, how many other people were they keeping tabs on? Like, would you say that each of these people knew more or less who everyone was, or did they kind of have localized groups?
I would say that would depend on the character. For many of the characters, it encourages interaction with a lot of different characters. So, for example, the secret missions specifically pushed the characters to talk with most everyone. Puss in Boots was there, for example. Puss in Boots, in addition to trying to solve the murder, was also trying to duel people. and he had to duel the 3 people who owned 5 pets or whatever. So that's where like, oh, you have to ask people about how many pets they have, like, and
Well, the
all the secret.
motive there too. The
Yeah,
like, there's a reason he wants to duel. You have dishonored all of cat kind by owning them.
exactly. And all the secret missions were meant to be, oh, ask about this subtly. So you had to engage in conversation with people, try to drag information out. And in addition, people's clues were revealed throughout the evening. So, for example, it would say clue 1, open at when there's an hour left, or a half hour left, or 10 minutes left. We had those 3 time slots. And in addition to that, we also had physical clues hidden out throughout the rooms in the servery and in the other 2 rooms as well. So, like in the servery, we had a ring that was found. There was a blood stain. There was some wolf hair and all sorts of other strange things. We had the wedding cake in there as well. So yeah, I forgot your original question, but just a lot of moving pieces. So yeah, people did interact with most everyone throughout the evening, I would say.
Gotcha. All right. So how many people got it right? How many people were on the right track?
Ooh, so I would say the vast majority of the group got it right, and the vast majority also completed their secret missions as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
some secret missions were more involved than others, but the vast majority of them completed their secret mission, and then working together, we had a denouement moment after the final 10 minutes where we revealed what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So revealed what was going on. Oh man.
Yes.
Should I just hurl a wild guess as to what it was? Because the thing is, no one else is going to experience this, so you can spoil it all the way.
That is true. So, yeah, if you want to hurl out a completely wild guess, not knowing
Anything.
pretty much anything.
All right. It was a crime of revenge done by well, the thing is, I know all the characters you mentioned are probably not the murderers because they had interesting other things going on. Well, here's my question: Did the murderer know that they were the murderer?
Ooh, so the murderer uh, didn't know until the final 30 minutes.
Okay.
So they had another secret mission, but then at the last 30 minutes, they
Yeah.
had final secret mission. You are the murderer. It's survival mode. Lay low, get out unaccused. Or if you can't, take someone with you. Once the final 10 minutes are called, if you can get someone to go into another room with you alone, you can kill them.
Oh my
That
gosh!
was their final
My
secret mission.
gosh! Oh, I love that. I love the idea of, instead of the murderer like being told like, "All right, it's you. Just be quiet." You're like, "No, no, no, no. You want to escape. You want to blame someone else. You want to kill again." That's cool.
Yeah. It added to the chaos that was the last 10 minutes of the course.
So was there a
evening.
second death then?
Oh, there were multiple deaths at
Oh
the end.
my gosh. One of the few contexts where a mass murder is a sign of more entertainment and fun.
Yes.
So the death toll went up over the course of the night.
Oh yeah, it was wild.
All right. I guess I don't know enough to make a guess, but I love everything that I'm hearing about this, and I'm getting jealous. I do a murder mystery podcast with you, and I didn't get to be a part of this one.
But vicariously, you get to.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting
No.
to experience it now, but
We'll
that's
definitely.
so
have to plan
cool.
one.
That is so cool. And it also sounds like you did a lot of things that I kind of have critiques of murder mystery party boxes, or things I would wish that they had done. One is giving everyone information revealed over the course of the night, and then 2 is giving ways for characters to be involved and reasons for them to talk to each other that isn't just solve the murder.
Exactly. So, are you ready to hear what really happened?
Yes.
Okay,
think
so
so.
this is major spoilers. I don't know if anyone would care about that, but
I don't
here we
think
go.
so.
So, April 7th wasn't just the wedding night of Mad Hatter and Briar Rose. It was also the anniversary of the I believe it was the full moon festival that had happened a year prior on that same night. On that same night, a year prior, Little Red Hood was found dead at the end of the festival. So we had two murders going on here. We had people digging into the past and into the present murder. So it turns out Mad Hatter, as you could find out through the course of the evening, talking to a couple different characters, was a member of the Fairytale Bureau of Investigation, and
Or
he
FBI.
yes. No relation to the other FBI, but yes. And he had been looking into the Little Red case. In fact, it was his final case as his fiance slash spouse, Briar Rose, had made him promise to stop investigating as soon as they were married and to leave the FBI life behind. His ex-partner, or soon-to-be ex-partner, Maid Marian, was also there that evening, and so she knew a little bit about what Mad Hatter had been digging into. But basically, Mad Hatter had, in fact, uncovered who had murdered Little Red that evening. But before they could pass on this information to either the detective who was there, Rapunzel, or to his ex-partner, Maid Marian, he was brutally stabbed with his own cake topper. So we had one of the secret missions, or one of the clues that someone found, or one of the clues that someone unveiled throughout the evening was about what the murder weapon was. And so we had the murder weapon actually in the wedding cake that we had. And so they were able to pull it out and be like, "Oh my gosh!" So we dyed the
Oh,
bottom of the wedding topper red. So it was like, "Oh my goodness, the murder weapon!"
that's fantastic.
So turns out, Little Red's death strongly benefited one person in particularly, and that was her sibling Robin Hood. So Red Hood and Robin Hood, both siblings. Red had inherited the family bakery business. It's been super successful. They're the ones who actually catered the wedding in canon, and so Red had this really successful bakery. Robin was in huge financial debt to one of the loan sharks who was actually there at the wedding, Prince Charming. And basically, Robin had killed for their sister's fortune and thought they'd gotten away with it until they were confronted by Mad Hatter. So, Robin Hood being the murderer, again, they had their final secret mission where they find out they were a murderer, but their initial secret mission was called Full Denim Jacket. Also, each secret mission had a little title because I just
That's
thought that
cool
was
too.
just fun. So, Full Denim Jacket, and they had to hide a denim jacket, which would have incriminated another character, basically. So, because of course, everyone assumed that the big bad wolf was the one who killed Little Red. But the big bad wolf had an airtight alibi for the night of April 7th a year ago. So it couldn't have been them. But everyone's still kind of suspicious of them and their motivations and why they're here at this wedding. So basically, Robin spent the evening unbeknownst to them, framing or trying to frame Big Bad Wolf
That's
for this
fun.
murder.
That's cool too. To oh man, to like make someone like without them knowing. All right, now leave this incriminating evidence over there. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was really fun. Now, in the for about an hour and a half, there's a lot of mingling. There's clues slowly being revealed. People finding different items. Shenanigans going on with people's secret missions. For example, the artifact that Hook and Pinocchio were trying to find actually ended up swapping people's characters. So if you have the artifact and you hand it to someone else, you swap characters. So because it's a cursed little
That
skull
that
thing.
would be so. I would not be willing to introduce that kind of chaos into something I wrote because I'd be like, there are too many unknowns. Wait, did oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Continue. Sorry, go ahead.
So by the end, Ariel and Pinocchio had swapped places. So Pinocchio was Ariel, Ariel was Pinocchio. That kind of played into some weird, crazy shenanigans. But yeah, so there's a lot going on. Cinderella was trying to find her mice, and the mice were spelling out a secret message, a secret clue. Yeah, just a whole bunch of things going on. But one of the main secret missions was Peter Pan. So Peter Pan was Mad Hatter's best friend, best man, And they let me just read their secret mission. So, secret mission: crocodilian justice. Vengeance is a dish best served by a crocodile. You have a crocodile, in quotes. Once the final 10 minutes are announced, you can set the crocodile loose on a character to enact your revenge. They will die. You don't believe in justice, just in crocodiles. So, they have a ticking crocodile that they can use in the final 10 minutes to try to kill whoever it is. Now, that's one piece set in motion. So that Peter Pan's super honing in on trying to figure out who is the murderer, right? Because they have this crocodile they can set loose. In addition to that, there is the fairy godmother who has uh, a love potion. The love potion will make two people lovers, and just like in Mafia or whatnot, they are tied together. So if one dies, the other one dies as well.
Wow.
The fairy godmother, not sure what to do with it, hands it to Ariel, who then proceeds to give it to two characters. They give it to Maleficent and Robin Hood. So Robin Hood and Maleficent are now tied together, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we have that happening. Once, in addition to that, one of the three little pigs is poisoned by a drink found in the servery that had been set out earlier. So three little pig in the final 10 minutes, they also have a second secret mission, which is find the cure, otherwise you will die by the end of the final 10 minutes. So there's an antidote hidden around somewhere as well. So that's the whole setup. And then, oh gosh, I forgot. There's one more moving element that matters as well. So
Are all these elements you're telling me right now about to
cross paths?
Oh my goodness.
They're all about to cross paths in the final 10 minutes. So in addition, there is one character, Giselle, who is secretly a frog. But one of the other characters in the game hates frogs and is trying to poison said frog, but they don't know who it is, so they're trying to figure out who is secretly the frog and whatnot. So there's little tells and whatnot. Basically, they have a poison in the final 10 minutes that they can also use on someone. So, whole setup. This happens all in an hour and a half where people are like trying to figure things out, doing their whole secret missions, and then the final 10 minutes hits. So, final 10 minutes, remember the murderer can go out and cajole someone to join them in another room. If they get them alone, they can kill them. So, final 10 minutes, I get a text from Robin Hood saying, I have killed again. What had happened was Robin Hood had pulled Cheshire Cat into the library where they had said they'd found the denim jacket that people have been searching for. So there's a missing denim jacket. They're trying to figure out where it is. So Robin Hood had pulled Cheshire Cat, closed the door, and killed them. So Cheshire Cat is the first to go. They die in a dramatic fashion.
Did people see them go into that room? Like, or was there a second exit or what?
No one noticed.
That's cash money. That's fun.
Is wild. I was very impressed at the subtlety that Robin Hood displayed. So, Cheshire Cat dies. At the same moment, the person who is looking for the frog comes up to me and says that they have an idea of who the frog is and they want to use their poison. This person is Tinkerbell. So, Tinkerbell sets the poison on the correct person, Giselle. And so Giselle then dies dramatically in front of everyone right by the staircase. Now, as this is going on, one of the three little pigs finds the antidote. So they're saved, but Giselle is still dead. Then, at that moment, Peter Pan comes up to me and this says that they have decided who they want to set their crocodile on, who they believe is the killer. And they set their crocodile on Maleficent. Maleficent, unbeknownst to anyone else besides Robin Hood and Maleficent, are lovers. And so, as Maleficent is strangled and killed by a crocodile, Robin Hood, seeing this, decides that it's not worth going on without their lover, and so kills himself in the process.
Wow. Indirect justice. Okay.
Yep. So at the end of the evening, there are 4 more dead bodies on the ground by the staircase. And that is where we gather for the final denouement, where it's a collective, okay, what do we know about this? What do we know about this? So how did they die? Who set the crocodile on who poisoned who?
Wow.
It was a wild time.
Wow. I'm assuming that this was a night to remember for everyone involved.
I certainly remembered it. So, yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and just we had a lot of fun tying people's characters to each other.
Mhm.
Like Peter Pan being connected to the Mad Hatter, and then being able to connect Maleficent and Robin Hood with Love Potion. There was people who were past lovers. Merlin and Fairy Godmother had a thing way back in the day. Aladdin was the one who actually turned Giselle into a frog. And so there's that whole storyline that was people could uncover. Aladdin was also trying to steal things throughout the evening, which, by the way, was incredible. I was so Aladdin's secret mission was once a street rat, always a street rat. So they were trying to steal things throughout the whole evening. I was expecting maybe 5, 6 things that they were able to get away with. They had a whole dragon's hoard of items, like 10 phones at some point. They had a whole sheet cake that had gone missing. Didn't realize that was gone. Cupcakes, bows and arrows, like artifacts that people had brought with them, hidden clues that they had stolen away, all without anyone realizing what was going on.
This is the best kind of chaos. That is so
Yeah.
fun because so many people get to feel smug about what they did.
Yeah. And that was the main goal, is to have people invest and feel like cool and like fun about what their character is doing.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, do you have any like tips or tricks for people who might be interested in either hosting or writing their own murder mystery party?
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, a couple things come to mind. One, for me, it helps me when I'm like super organized. So like we had 2 like 30-page docs with all the invitations and all the brainstorming and all the background, like what was going on. And then another Google sheet with like who all the characters were, so we could keep track of all the moving pieces. It also was super helpful to have like, especially a group of this size, so like 37. So if you're doing it for like 10, you probably wouldn't need this, but having 2 people who knew the whole story and knew all the secret missions, all the clues. So if people got stuck or were going off on too wrong of a tangent, we could guide them, steer them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we were mingling with the people too, interacting with them, kind of sowing seeds of intrigue, mystery, and whatnot. So having us interacting in part of the story, even though we're not the murder, we set this all up, having that was super helpful. And then also having a timetable and having the secret missions. I think those 2 things really helped make this experience. Having different stages of the experience. We had the setup for the murder. We had finding the body, and then the initial like 30, 40 minutes where we're like just discussing the body, and then having 30 minutes, new clues are revealed. 10 minutes, new phase happens.
That really
Crazy
gives it
chaos.
some momentum, I would guess.
Yeah.
I feel like you should give a name for this type of murder mystery party because it's really emphasizing the game aspect of it when you add in secret missions and also mafia style role changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it feels distinct. It feels it's a Nathan classic, you know?
Yeah, it's not like any murder mystery I've played before. So
Yeah, well, I guess it really helps when you know the group, you know what's going to be well received and how far people are going to be willing to take the theme.
That was another thing, is being able to tailor the secret missions to the people there and knowing what they would have fun with. That also made it, and they made that experience too. Everyone's 100% into their character. They all dressed up, which was incredible. And so they were giving 100% to this, so that just made it a blast. And again, like, they were committed to who their character was and what their secret mission was. They were all incredible. It was so much fun.
Oh, man. Well, I hope that our listeners enjoyed being talked through that. I certainly did. It is, your enthusiasm is contagious, and your intellect is dizzying when it comes to the creation of murder mysteries. It's so fun. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing.
Anytime.
Oh man, it, like most things, makes me just want to hop back into recording this podcast because I get excited about like the just the silly, fun intrigue.
Yeah, we have many exciting things on the horizon.
Which, speaking of, actually, an announcement. We have a way to support the show now. We have there should be a link in this podcast description. It's a Ko-fi page or Coffee or ko-fi.com page. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. But yeah, if you want to buy us a sandwich, that's something you can do now, dear listener. And in fact, so I don't have names for the next murder mystery that I'm writing for this podcast. Not the next one that we're going to post. We've already recorded that one. But I need names. So here's my proposition. If you review the show, this is separate from the support the show thing. If you just review the show, I will select from those names of reviewers randomly for all of the suspects. But if you donate, if you support the show, then I will insert your name into a raffle for who the victim is. I want to make you a murderer because you're so kind. So
yeah.
Now that I say it out loud, maybe being a victim isn't much better. In fact, it's probably much worse. What do you think, Nathan? Should it be the murderer or victim or both taken from that special pool?
Wow, that is a tough decision to make.
What's a more a crown of honor? What would make someone say hey, you should listen to this podcast? I'm the victim. No, you know what? I think a murderer would be cooler, wouldn't it? But that gives them a strategic advantage if they want to try to play along.
That is true. I was saying I get murdered in a podcast is pretty cool.
Well, we'll make t-shirts.
I got murdered in a podcast and all I got was this lame t-shirt.
Okay, I think for now I'm gonna say you'll be included in one of those two key roles. Sorry, you might. I'm gonna raffle that. A name from that will be selected. But also, hey, if you just want to listen and you don't even feel like reviewing, hey, you can do that too. We're here for you. This is a one-sided relationship, listeners. You can just take and you don't have to give anything, and we're totally okay with that.
Yeah, just if you're curious about how the best way to support us, that would be that. But if not, no, that's still cool. We're just having fun here.
Yeah, we're just having fun. Well, speaking of having fun, this was very much fun. Thank you, Nathan, for joining me and talking about murder we didn't wrote.
Ooh, thanks for listening to me ramble about different murders for half an hour.
Well, I can say with some certainty that there will be at least 37 people who will be very excited to hear you recap that story.
Yes.
You can send the recording to each of them. But
shout out to the whole London Center 2023 crew.
But yeah, I think that'll be it. We don't really do a sign off usually, but I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nathan.
And we'll murder with you next week. Wink, finger guns. Snap, snap.
Same murder time, same murder channel.